come in. Hi, can I help you? Oh, oh gosh, hi. I'm so glad you could make it. Wait, that's weird, isn't it? Of course you could make it. You made the appointment and scheduled around your availability. I'm sorry. I'm not normally this out of sorts. I've just been trying to prepare all morning to make sure I can answer as many questions as you might possibly have, and I think my brain just got a little ahead of my mouth. Let me try again. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Theo, Theo Jacobs. When the boss told us you were going to be coming out to do an article about the centennial of the society, we were all really excited. Why don't you come sit down and we can talk? Where do you want to start? I've never done anything like this before. Okay, basics are good. Do you want to start with questions about the society or? That makes sense. I'm sorry. I probably should have thought of that. Thanks. I'm Theo Jacobs, and I've been with the Society full time. Well, I say full time, but I'm not an actual employee. This isn't my day job or anything. I mean, full time as in being a full fledged investigator for 7 years, but I started doing investigations with them Friday and Saturday nights when I was in high school. I've been one of three lead investigators for the Society for the last 2 years. The full name of the Society is the Paranormal Investigation Society of Sarley. I know what the acronym spells. We all do. Most of us just prefer not to acknowledge it if we can get away with avoiding it. We like to hope that the founders maybe didn't think about the consequence of their particular naming choice or hadn't thought of how popular acronyms might become 100 years in the future, but we also really aren't sure. There are some documents that we have from that time period, things like records from their first investigations and their very first membership roster, but not all of them. We're missing minutes from the first five. Board meetings and financial records weren't consistently kept at all until the 1970s. It's entirely possible the founders came up with the name over a luncheon or something, really, but that particular decision, however it was reached, wasn't ever documented at all, or at least not that we've been able to find. We currently have 15 people on staff, and I use that term really, really loosely. There aren't any specialized jobs in this field, at least not like a lot of people seem to think. So we all do everything on an investigation. Only a few of us are allowed to investigate solo, though. No, it's because we want to make sure someone is both trustworthy enough, where we feel the results they report will be valid and accurate, and also that they're level headed enough that they aren't jumping to supernatural conclusions if something would otherwise be easily debunked before we let them go alone. Our credibility would be completely shot if it turned out that someone had faked something as comparatively easy to manipulate as an EVP, or as potentially complex as a moved object. People are coming to us for help, And they need to be able to rely on the truthfulness of our reports. I mean, it would be disastrous on so many levels if we told some homeowner that her centuries old generational home was actually haunted when it turns out that the creaks and pops were the foundation needing to be leveled. And then 6 months later, her entire house collapses on top of her. I know I could never live with myself if that happened, and neither could anyone else here. So we do what we can to ensure that the integrity of both our organization and our methods remains intact and above all reproach. They're really the same as any other paranormal investigatory group. We make sure our video cameras are always on and that we're always in sight of them so that the clients can be assured we aren't faking anything. And that's another reason we don't allow most of our team to investigate alone. It can be kind of difficult to make sure that you're within sight of your camera or your cameras. Using multiple cameras is super common and actually makes a lot of things a lot easier to manage, just in case there's something that happens at a different angle from your primary camera. But it can be difficult to learn how to be in front of them while also manning them. There's definitely a trick to making it all work, but it takes some serious time to pick up. Afterwards, we don't show the client all the multiple hours of video footage. It's more than a lot of people think once you multiply how many hours you were there by how many cameras you had running. But we do provide it to them uncut and unedited upon their request. Anyway, methods. We always have our video cameras on, and we are always within sight of them. We disturb as absolutely little as possible at any given investigation. We touch almost nothing. We move nothing. Not an ashtray, not a coat hanger, nothing. We always have audio recording going too. They used to use tape back in the old days, but now it's all digital. No, we don't. Um, could I see what you're using to record me right now? That's what I thought. That's exactly what we use on our jobs. I read the Sarley Gazette. I know who you are. I liked your human interest stories a lot more than I've liked the stories you've written since you became the rising star of the investigative department. Considering when you booked this interview, considering how there have been little blurbs in the paper about our centennial for the last 6 months, I'd really hoped this would be one of those and not an investigative piece. Or if it was going to be an investigative piece, that it would be more about the history of the society. But that's not what this interview's about, is it? Yes, I'm irritated, and yes, I'm sort of defensive. The society does so much good, and you. Look, hotshot, we're just trying to help people. We're trying to help them get closure or maybe help them feel safe in their own homes again with answers they can wrap their heads around. And I refuse to see that as a bad thing. And I can't think of a single person who would want to poke holes in that for any reason. Well, we aren't taking city money, so you can take that angle and. We aren't taking city money. Or even state money. In fact, most of us are volunteers. So most of us don't take any money at all. Yeah, you're right. They do. And then all of that money immediately goes right back into equipment so that we can do even better work going forward. And we have the receipts to prove it. I mean, actual receipts. We've got a well-documented paper trail that we've always said we're happy to provide. We're all believing skeptics here. We believe there are things out there that we encounter that are beyond any explanation we can provide. They are things we can't explain. But that isn't our default by any means. Not even a little bit. We love it when it's a high-voltage breaker box a little too close to someone's bed, or a slightly leaky pipe that's just complaining in the wall, or a foundation that's settled funny and seems level but pops when you step on it in a certain way, or has give and flex and is just off enough that items roll on it when they're dropped. Because those are answers that make sense. They are answers that are easily accepted and understood by literally everyone. They're the most reassuring, comforting answers for these people who are oftentimes too terrified to even exist in their own homes anymore. Answers that let them get back to living their lives. But you're intending to make us all out to be crackpots, looking to scam people for a quick buck. Look, there's a building at the corner of Sunset and Olympia that caught fire and almost entirely burned down 6 weeks ago due to a pretty serious case of arson. The owners of the building contacted us yesterday asking us to come check it out. 3 work crews that were hired to clear the building to prep it for potential reconstruction have quit, citing untenable working conditions. 3 crews that were all specialists in fire remediation and cleanup. Each and every foreman said only that their crews were too spooked to continue working in the building. That their crews told them the building was evil. I got assigned the building, and I'm going tomorrow night. Why don't you tag along and see how we operate? If you still want to run your piece as it's standing after that, I won't complain. And I'll even properly finish this interview with you. Okay. Great. I'll meet you in our parking lot tomorrow night at 9.